in the long run.
So that brings me to my next topic here, and I'm going to make it tough on you, just so you know in advance.
It's okay. That's why
that's what I do.
We're on TV, right?
That's what I do. So, an all-star. I'm going to mention an all-star who's been very productive in his NBA career. He's made it to the Western Conference Finals, but that's about it. He hasn't won any individual awards, but he's played phenomenal. He potentially could be moving on to a new team this year. And I want to know if that team could potentially be Sacramento and what you'd be willing to give up for him. Mm-hmm. And, of course, you know who I'm talking about already. This is Dame Lillard.
Yeah.
So, we all know he's a great player, but he's been struggling this season. He's only averaging 20 points per game. He's shooting a horrendous 26% from three-point range.
Yeah, he's really struggling.
Which is crazy considering this guy is like one of the best three-point shooting guards of all time, in my opinion, especially from deep.
Yeah. I mean, he shoots a better percentage from, I think it was like 35 feet and beyond than Steph Curry does.
Yeah. So I want to know how open you would be to bringing in a guy like Damian Lillard. And two, what are you giving up for this guy? Because he makes a ton of money, and they're going to want a lot back. This might be a De'Aaron Fox and Davion Mitchell.
Cover curse.
And some other stuff. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. So I want to know how you're feeling about that.
Okay, so this is actually easier for me than I thought it was going to be when you said you were going to make it hard. Little secret for myself, Damian Lillard's my favorite player in the NBA.
Since Dwayne Wade's retired.
Since Dwayne Wade retired, yes, because Dwayne Wade is my guy. I love Damian Lillard. I don't even flinch at looking at his numbers this year. I'm not worried about it at whatsoever. I would deal for him in a heartbeat, and I would give up Fox to get him. Absolutely.
What about Fox, Mitchell, and 2 first-round picks?
That's a lot.
It is a lot. But
Dame
Lillard's one of the best point guards in the league.
You're going to have to give up a lot for him. The picks I'd be okay with, just because, I'm expecting if I make a move like that we're a top 7 team in the Western Conference for sure, and our draft picks are going to be, lesser picks that you could withstand losing. There won't be lottery picks.
And how do you
I'd
feel?
really think about it.
How do you feel about the Dame Lillard, Tyrese Haliburton tandem?
Oh, I think they could work really, really well together. And the reason for that is watching Lillard and McCollum play together. They're both more scoring minded than Tyrese is, but they both handle the ball a ton. They're both good playmakers, and they both have figured out a way to make it work with the two of them. And they both score a ton of points. So I don't think he would have any trouble adjusting to that.
This is a very interesting.
If anything, it might help him because Tyrese could get him wide open.
Yeah, catch and shoot.
Catch
and shoot three is great. This is an interesting comment from Sean. Lillard has been healthy for most of his career. Don't know how many injury-free years he may have left.
Yeah, that's true. But, I mean,
you can take that both ways, right?
An injury could happen to anyone at any moment. I've never been a fan of saying, well, maybe LeBron's getting older. I mean, yes, he is missing more and more games, but if anybody had a chance to get LeBron on their team, they would, right?
Yep.
You're not worried. You can't assume an injury just because somebody's getting older.
Yeah, and on the reverse end, how many times do you say, this guy's been injured most of his career, so he got that all out of the way, so he should be healthy?
Yeah, I don't know if a lot of people say that. Injury prone tends to stick with you.
Healthy later on.
Ask Marvin Bagley.
Yeah, man, that's tough. Speaking of which, you all know Marvin Bagley played his second game of the year tonight. 7 points for him.
He agreed to enter the game.
He agreed to enter the game for 18 minutes.
Yeah.
Which is big. He's trying out for his new team. I don't know if they'll end up making a deal for him. Who knows at this point? If you guys watched the Royal Report last week, Calvin and I were accepting deals for a bag of chips, so you could tell how hungry we are. Which is funny. I was watching the game today, and Kings were up big. There was some Kings fans in Detroit in the stands, and the Kings fan was like eating his food. He's just like mopping it super fast.
I saw that.
And they zoom in on him. And was it Mark Jones tonight?
It was.
Yeah, he said Kings are feasting on the Pistons while it was zoomed in on this Kings fan just like mopping his food, eating it. So I thought that was pretty funny. All right, let's move on here. I want to talk about Buddy Hield. Great game for him. 24 minutes off the bench, 8 of 14 shooting, 6 of 10 from 3, 22 points tonight, 2 turnovers, 2 assists, 2 rebounds, 1 steal. Another great game from Buddy Hield.
Yeah. Good matchup for him tonight. You know, I loved watching the Pistons defenders run around helplessly, like that one Josh Jackson play where he tackled him.
Yeah.
You know, it's just so hard to stay with this guy because he's moving all the time. And, I mean, the Kings were all in rhythm tonight offensively. So when that's happening, when De'Aaron Fox is hitting threes and Tyrese Haliburton doesn't miss from 3, that gets Buddy Hield more open looks because you can't help off those guys as much as you can normally, you know, and the picks that they run for him are great setups. You know, he just had it going tonight. But we know Buddy. I mean, he could come out on Friday, start 0 of 7.
What makes me fearful is I feel like this is the Buddy Hield we're going to see if we trade him to another team, right? Is he's going to come back to Sacramento, and the Kings defenders are going to be running around in circles looking for him, and he's just going to be launching threes from distance. I have such mixed feelings about Buddy Hield because I love the guy personally. Like, I love his character. I love his work ethic. You know, I love everything that he says. I think there was only maybe one time that I wasn't really happy with one of his interviews, and that's when he was, like, worried about getting paid. And we all know how that goes. Things get awkward when you're at your job and they're not paying you what you want to be paid and all that. But personally, I love Buddy Hield. I think he's been great for this team. But it's the inconsistencies that drive me crazy. And it's like this guy works so hard. How can he be this inconsistent? I don't get it. And you look at a shooter, you say, well, shooters shoot. And, you know, shooters go through slumps. They also go through hot streaks. But it's not just his shooting. It's his defense. It's his playmaking. It's his decision-making, which is sometimes amazing. And then other times he just seems to have these, like, multiple mental errors over and over and over again. And that's what's frustrating to watch. And I'm just hoping that the older he gets, you know, he slowly starts to get over these things. And so it just makes me take a step back and say, when Buddy Hield's playing great, I need to be appreciative and I need to enjoy the moment. And that's what tonight was. Yeah.
Yeah. And we've seen that a lot from him this year. We've been critical of him earlier on in the season, turning the ball over in critical spots. I do think he's putting the ball on the floor and looking to get to the basket more this year than I've ever seen personally.
Mm-hmm.
So there is going to be some sort of learning curve that comes with that, or adjustment period, I guess you could say, maybe not a learning curve. You're right. It's a really tough call with him. When the Kings are playing poorly, it's all you hear is, well, they should have that trade for Kuzma, KCP, and Montrezl Harrell should have gone through. What are we doing? And when the Kings are playing well, this is a potential 6th Man of the Year candidate that is like shades of Lou Williams, who comes in and just lights people up left and right.
Yep.
So it's a really tough. It's a tough thing to grapple with. I know if I was in the front office, I would only trade him if I was extremely confident that I was going to get that the team was going to be better the roster was going to be better after the trade.
And it doesn't seem like the Kings.
Which I realize that's kind of a silly statement. Like that should be the point all the time, right? But this particular one, I mean, if trading Marvin Bagley, they're in Motor City right now. They could get a pretty good car for him, and I'd be okay with it.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
but Buddy, that's you're potentially losing the sixth man of the year this year.
Yep. And it's interesting because he has a talent that every team in the NBA wants. Like 3-point shooting has got to be, in today's NBA, like it's got to be like one of the most valuable talents you could have. Yet the Kings don't really get that great of trade offers for him. We talk about the Kuzma, Montrezl Harrell, KCP deal that, fell apart and could have potentially happened. But it's just amazing that they get lowballed when they're willing to trade a guy like Buddy Hield. Now he's playing really, really well. Maybe your offers are going to be a little bit better, but do you want to trade this guy because he's playing so well for your team? And it's kind of a mental thing, right? Like you're supposed to sell high, buy low, but now he's playing well, and you're like, is this the new Buddy Hield? Or is he just playing well right now, so we should get out whatever value we can from him at this point?
Yeah. And I wonder if just the fact that the Kings have been, losing franchise for so long plays into that too. It's one thing we talk about guys that go out and get empty stats all the time on bad teams.
Yep.
And are they really good enough to play on a really good winning team? And I wonder if the rest of the league looks at Buddy Hield that way. That, man, the Kings have been bad, and he's supposed to be one of their best players. He's really inconsistent. People talk about his drive and his work ethic and all that stuff being really positive things, but I'm just curious if that has anything to do with the fact that another team, a contending team, doesn't feel like they have to put forth a really good offer to get him.
Isaiah Thomas was one of those guys.
Yeah.
And we saw what he did in Boston.
Yeah. Well, and also we've seen with the real contending teams in the league lately that they do make trades. Sometimes they're big trades like for Westbrook and stuff like that, but they also wait for guys to just fall off and find themselves, basically falling into their laps, like a Carmelo Anthony or Paul Millsap or something like that in Brooklyn, Blake Griffin, who everybody had written off dead, situations like that. It's just interesting.
What up, Marcus?